everything is working this morning. I see Joseph Lee standing by right there, and he's making sure that we get everything on. I'm pretty sure he heard me talk about the shooting, and what I'm doing now is making sure. Go right here. Come on, come on. All right, looking good, looking good, looking good. Mic's on, all this on. I'm making sure everything is right. That's what I'm doing. Because sometimes I do some stuff and I look up, I have the volume control up and everything. But we are here this morning. It is 27 minutes after the hour on the first day of November, and I'm supporting my Triple L shirt right here. Oh, right here of the this group right here. They do a lot of things for the community, and those of you that send me shirts, I wear the shirts to support you. So you don't have to put my name on like that. They put my name on it, Ronald. They even spelled it right. So I love that. But anyway, it has been a week here in San Antonio where we got our first true cold front that came through Sunday. And the high on Monday was maybe 42, 43 degrees. It was beautiful. It was nice out there. All right, before we get started, I want to let everybody know that I set up some things right here. We are live on Facebook. They keep on kicking me off, but I got to end around on that one. We'll see what happens now. We're also live on Twitch. That's twitch.tv. Just go to, once you log into Twitch, go to WSN Radio and you see us. Or you go to our website, WSAN Radio, and scroll all the way down. There's our live feed in Twitch. And what we've been doing for the past 2 weeks, we are live on YouTube. Right now, we're live on YouTube. Go to our YouTube channel, WSAN Radio SA. And some of the comments y'all been putting on there, I love it. I love it. But do me a favor. Never wait till after the shows to put a comment on. Come on in and talk to us then, because I'm reading the screen right here. And just let us know, because we want your input. Not after. We like your input, the dialogue going on. So we like that. We like that. So just keep on doing that. Oh, one more announcement. Friday. This Friday, I got to slide over here and get my cheat sheet. Here we go. This Friday is our round table. And our panel's already picked. And the topic is already picked. And somebody said, Ron, this is a good topic. Are you alone in your marriage or relationship? So we brought that up right there just to, we're no psychiatrists and all that. We're just getting the truth from people who lived it. And we got married couples there. We got singles there. So we're going to hear from both sides. So that's how we do. We want to make sure it's not just one-sided. We want to get input from everybody. So just let everybody know that. So without further ado, good morning, Mr. Lee.
Good morning, konnichiwa, all that good stuff. How are you?
Oh, boy, you over there now. You talking Japanese. Come on now.
That's it.
You're going to be over there.
Gozaimasu, all that good stuff.
You're going to be over there for 6 months coming up pretty soon in December or January, somewhere in there.
Yeah, man, it's time is flying by. Matter of fact, we're gonna have to get off a little early tonight. We have to be off at 10:30 because we got people coming over to visit. So I got to get to the airport.
Okay.
Here at about 9:30. We got good family friend coming in. My wife's best friend she's flying in, so we got to get there. That's why I'm dressed a little casual so I can jump on out there. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So shout out to the Impact team. I know we got people listening on the radio and listening on different things. So Tamara Spears up in Michigan, Craig Washington probably pop on. Shout out to him. Jared Moore, Thomas Henderson in New York. We've got Sean, Dr. Sean C in San Antonio. Of course, Jared is in San Antonio, and of course, can't forget Martha Rice. So we've got a strong team that's able to handle life coaching, counseling, the marital issues. So I'm looking forward to this topic this weekend. I'm kind of busy. There's a lot going on in the world. So provide counseling consulting services for armed forces. So we're a little busy right now, but for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
But without further ado, we got to get into the situation with Maine because unfortunately, we had a good run there for a while, Ron. No mass shooters,
Right.
no foolish. But this situation, I want to highlight with Robert Card because I think he's the test case of what's wrong with the system in the United States in terms of mental health. People keep talking about mental health, mental health, mental health. Well, it was out there. The
Yeah.
Army had, classified him as not being able to shoot live rounds. He should not have they had afforded him to be evaluated from a mental health, hospital, and had already classified him as not being able to have access to a weapon, not even to be around live rounds. Now that was with the
Yeah.
military. Now the family had been seeking help since January. And law enforcement said, hey, these are the laws that we couldn't do any more than that. So
Yeah.
that's the issue, right? And to be honest with you, you can't keep pushing the button for mental health when it's a legislation issue. It's a misunderstanding of the Second Amendment issue. And we can't say that enough, right? Other places in the world really aren't having this issue because they don't have the misconstrued version of the Second Amendment. Again, the Second Amendment, the technology back then was a musket, and it was to defend against the government. Is to create militias so that to combat against the government from becoming too powerful. And like Biden said a while back, do you really think an AR is going to stop the government coming at you? I mean, you had an example of that in Waco, right?
Yeah.
What's the AR going to do against the tank? Stop it. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing we're doing right now is putting ourselves, our families, our kids, our communities in harm's way because we're afraid of this, phantom, thing that's coming, and we're the problem, right? The mental health issues that are going on that are running rampant. And I got to give the number out. 988 is the suicide hotline that you can call. So if you think somebody's about to do something, if you're feeling about harming yourself, you call that 988. You can always call law enforcement if you have a person's in a mental health crisis. Law enforcement can put somebody under ED, emergency detention, get them evaluated. But right now we got to become more proactive. When somebody's been fired, going through issues, starting to hear voices, things of that nature. He was
Yeah.
hallucinating. Look, we gotta get our heads out of dark places and figure out how to address this issue. And until we hold these politicians accountable to actually do something to earn this money that they're getting paid to help to protect the people, and we have to hold them accountable. So I've even calling for people to sign petitions. We don't have to. This is not something that should stop. You know what I'm saying? So we've been talking about this now for years. I'm really kind of shocked that we haven't got further with this. I remember I was in education back when Columbine happened, and I thought that was going to be a watershed moment. Then here comes Sandy Hook and all the shootings in between there. Then here comes Uvalde and Robb Elementary and all the mass shootings and things that are going up to that. And now we're still dealing with this. The problem is not going to go away until we make it go away. That's it.
Yeah.
And we can make it go away. Like you said, your quote, nothing is too impossible for God. But you have to first, and I'm gonna start preaching a little bit, align yourself with God's will. And right now, we're worshiping the dollar, not the Father. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yes.
That's the problem. That's the problem. We keep supporting the wrong thing, and then we have this disease that's rolling through the community and the world. And I'm gonna remind people when I flew into Japan about 6 months ago, one of the attendants said, hey, you're really gonna enjoy Japan. And before he could catch himself, he said, because we're still a civilized society.
Mm.
And he almost apologized. And I said, you know what? You don't have to apologize about that. I understand where you're coming from with that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because if we're not protecting our children, and these are babies that are dying, you know, uh, we're not civilized. If we paying all these politicians, we've got all these governments, laws, all that in place. If we can't protect our kids, then what are we actually doing? And that's just open. That's an open-ended thing.
Well,
Now, I'm not going to get into the situation. I know people might want me to speak on Israel and Gaza. I think people are speaking on that enough, right? It's
yeah,
war. Israel was attacked. Israel's responding. If you want to feel how I feel about it, hear how I feel about it, just listen to the FBI director and what he said about Hamas and how they're the tactics that they're using to hide behind innocent people, and it's war. And my problem is, again, we're killing babies, we're killing children, but children were killed on both sides, right? And I'm just disgusted, with the whole situation, to be honest with you. But you know, I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to get into that too much. I know that we're in a rough situation, but what I will say is this: be careful in the United States, um, allowing this hatred, this visceral, targeting, and just this visceral attitude is happening, towards other people, that you know we have already enough problems in the United States with hatred, shooting, polarization, and I think there's other countries out there that love the fact that we have all this divisiveness going on,
yeah,
and all these polar, situations. So, again, I think you have to have a healthy diet from the news, and this is where the mental health part comes in, and process, what you feel that you can tolerate. You need to know what's going on. I get it. Watch the bullets. Don't sit there and focus on the news. Don't sit there and focus on what's going on with the president and all that type of stuff. Know what's going on, but don't watch all the spin, all the horrific pictures, and when you have the warnings about this is going to be a graphic. Look, when you hear that, you already know it's going to be bad. So why do you have to watch the image?
yeah.
Because then you've got that playing through in your mind all night, and then the next day, and then So we've got some horrific things going on. But biblically, we knew that wars are going to be going on in
Right.
other places, and earthquakes and tragedies. But this is a time to lean on your faith, meditate, pull away from media, and do some healthy things to, kind of center yourself. And by centering yourself, there's a lot of apps out there. Calm is one of them that I use frequently, but you don't have to spend money. You can go on YouTube. So shout out to YouTube if you, those of you that are listening, scroll over after the show, right? Scroll over and look up some meditation, sounds or whatever, and do some deep breathing.
Yeah.
That you look up deep breathing and center yourself. Because here's the thing: we're going to need calm, clear, and intelligent minds to help guide us out of this mess, right?
Amen to that.
Because there is going to be an after. There's going to be an after with all this stuff. So, just like I said with COVID, when we're going through COVID, start thinking of the after. What do you want to do after? And those people that were thinking like that, they were able to be more resilient. They were able to focus and come out on the other end. My wife, during the COVID, the pandemic, when we were locked down, she got her master. Wait, what did she finished her bachelor's and her master's degree in 2 years. She was thinking about the after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started doing more online things. My practice grew, waiting lists, all that type of stuff. I was thinking about the after, thinking about, all the needs that we're going to have to go on with our kids, being not possibly having social skill issues and things of that nature, doing research, training, things of that nature, so I could be a help instead of just, lost in the sauce, complaining and wondering what we needed to do. So you always can prepare for the future and enjoy the present, right? And we have to enjoy the present. Find some way to have some peace in what's going on. And for those of us that have a faith background, are Christian, we can find that peace.
Yeah.
But for those that don't, you got to lean on mindfulness, meditation, relaxation. Find your peace that way.
Yeah. Now, one thing I said that I was talking about leading up to your show is I was letting everybody know that you're not alone out there. You
Right.
you have people out there that not saying woe is me. They don't know who to turn to or what to do. But you have your friends, your families, and all that. Turn to one of them, talk to them. Sometimes you talk to somebody, that eases everything. You're not alone in this. And that's the number one problem to me. I'm not a psychiatrist, but when you are alone, like that guy heard voices in his head, he was evaluated, said he was troubled, but also he was alone at the same time. Would
Yeah.
nobody want to? Well, we all know that we go back to the days we run around in the streets and we used to use that word very frequently. Man, that guy crazy over there. Stay away from him. We knew who was in our neighborhood, but we
Mm.
also knew that we protected them at the same time. And somebody say, well, how you can protect somebody that's crazy? Well, you call it crazy, but we were growing up, we watched him as a kid growing up, and we knew that he was slow in certain things, but the neighborhood also protected him to make
Mhm.
sure nobody came and did anything. That's the reason why I say you're not alone.
Well,
So
I think one of the silver linings with all the foolishness going on with COVID, with everything that's going on with, polarization, hopefully with this show, we're starting to get people to talk and we're starting to build that sense of community back, right? So I know that we're reaching out to over and talking to over 20,000 people. Um, and I'd like to use this as an opportunity to say, talk to folks, talk to people that maybe have a different opinion than you. Take the emotional element out of it, and instead of thinking of it as a us them, think of it as a we. If you're an American, look, you may disagree with the person, but just like when I was in the military, when I was serving, I know there were people that had different opinions than me. I know that they maybe wouldn't even have a conversation with me outside the military. But once we had that uniform on, we were about the mission. We were about trying to get things accomplished. And I think the military serves as a great example of what democracy could be and should be. We have a mission. Our mission is to protect our kids, ensure our future, and work together to achieve those ends. And we may not agree on exactly how to do that, but I think we have one of the best infrastructures in the world to actually do that, which is democracy, when it is working properly. And anything that's attacking that has got to be dealt with. So Trump attacking the democracy, that to me is one of the biggest crimes. Talking about we had all these free and fair elections, and here he comes because he lost. It had to be rigged, right? No, man, you lost and you're still losing and you're about to lose more, right? Because you're living in a delusional world. Anybody following them, I hate to say it, you're following the delusional world as well, right? So
yeah,
we've talked about that. We've talked about, it's out there. Now, if you want to deal with the issues that people were manipulating folks to be fearful of, like the borders being porous, not having a strong economy, all those type of things. Yeah, we can talk about that. But let's get the fear and the phobias and the ignorance out of the way, the greed out of the
right,
way.
right.
Let's start getting down to the nuts and bolts of what needs to be done and how to do it, and using the best and brightest minds to get it accomplished. And as I look at some of these folks, they may have gone to the best schools, but they're not putting the best things out here.
Amen,
It
amen
just
to
doesn't
that.
make sense. And if you got criticism, what's your plan? Right? If if you want a politician can say no, but what are you saying yes to? What are you putting on the table? You know what I'm saying? So we're stagnant because the vision, I think, is starting to decline. People are talking about, on the right side, they're talking about making America great again, but everything they wanted to do wasn't about making it great. It was going back to failed policies. So let's move forward. Let's use the insight, the ability, the wisdom of our true intellectuals, and let's get it together. And also return it back to that moral foundation that we have got to get to. That's why, Craig, we started this thing about church hurt. It was to
Yes,
heal, but also I want to tease out one of the points that we made was the church was a very strong moral foundation. It was a place where people could come and talk about politics. They could come and talk about different things, but they also had the church in the United States was our moral compass. So if you erode that institution, you erode that compass. And I think that's why we have a lot of the issues that we do. So you attack it at the root. Those pastors that are predators and pimps in the pulpit, they got to go. So I have to say, I heard the beginning of the show, and you said we're not Gladys Knight and the pimps, we're the pimps. We are not pimps. That is a joke. we
Yeah.
we were playing about that. You know, nobody's out here pimping nobody. We got wives that would take our heads off if
Ooh.
we talk
Ooh.
about they ain't no pimping, ain't nobody tripping. We all are good men, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So family, God fearing brothers, and we do have fun, right? But you know, we gotta be careful with that term because I don't want somebody to hear it and not understand the joking
Part of it.
from what's really going on because there
Yeah.
are some real pulpit pimps out there. Now, there are some people out there, there's a lot of pastors that are truly invested in trying to, you know, get people's lives and souls aligned with the Holy Spirit and God and living right. Not talking about them, right? Those are out there. We're talking about the cancers that need to be cut off,
Right.
and there's a few. You know, there's a few of them out there. You don't have to look far. You know, we talked about it. Craig would be more than happy to go into it. I'll be working on the trauma side of people that have been traumatized, victimized, and kind of get them in the right direction. And we throw the life coaches on it, and then kind of get them in the right direction to restore them. You know, help to restore them back to where they need to be and to find a decent church home that you know this God led and where they can get fed. So, you know, that's how that works. But in terms of the mental health side, you know, we've got a lot of marriage therapists and life coaches. I know Martha does some great work with marriage and family. I know Tamara Spears up in Michigan does some great work with families and marriage, you know, counseling. And there's a lot of folks, you know. So you know, if you don't want to utilize the impact team, you know, that's fine. You know, find somebody. You know,
Yeah.
just don't suffer in silence. Because one thing I can say about mental health, the more you ignore it, the bigger a beast it's going to be. And that's just like any other health issue. The more you ignore it, the bigger beast it's going to be,
Yeah.
right? And you know, when you look at mental health issues and people get isolated and they start watching media, you know, social media, you know, it's real easy to kind of get into a psychosis. That's why I say separate yourself from that mess and get the information, kind of get a bearing of what's going on, but then move away. Start to, you know, we had this thing that I do with the youth, and it's called critical thinking skills, you know, that we build and get them to learn how to read in between the lines, get the full context, know history. That's why it's important to really address this critical race, you know, theory crap. Basically, you need to know your history. There's a lot of things that aren't taught in the school books that need to be taught so that people of all ethnicities can know about their contributions to the United States and the truth about not dwelling on or demonizing a particular people, but just telling the truth about how racist thought processes turned into racist policies that cause harm, cause damage. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with knowing your history because if you don't, you will repeat it. And there's what, you know, I think folks were trying to do, but you know, we're not buying it, right? We know what's going on. You know, we're not having it. And that's why I think you're seeing the end of certain political pressures. They've shown their hand now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Saying that there were some good things about slavery. Stop it. Sit down. Who are you talking to? If it's so good, then why don't you become one? You know, and see and see how that works out for you. You
Yeah.
know, going down there to you know, going down there to Mexico and become a slave, you know, to somebody in the cartel, and then see and then come back and tell me about, you know, actually you might have got better treatment, to be honest with you, than we got in slavery. But anyway, that's another discussion. But the fact of the matter is, you know, we got to know about our history. We got to know about where a lot of these cancers come from so we can continue to tear them out by the root. Now, I don't say we dwell on it, but we do have to know about it. We have to know about redlining, know about the
Yeah.
economic things that were stripped away from us. We got to know about why there are a growing, you know, push for reparations that's getting traction, right? So you can talk to my brother Glenn to talk about all the reparation efforts that he's aware of and that he's schooling me on. But the Black Wall Street folks, yeah, there's talks and there's some progress with the reparations for that. But we got to know that, how did these communities end up so gentrified? Well, we were stripped of wealth. And yes, there were some decisions that could have been made better in a lot of these communities. There were things we could have done differently, but let's not act like things weren't done intentionally to these communities to keep them impoverished and to keep businesses from not flourishing or growing. There's a lot of tactics. Look at where the highways were drawn in most major
Yeah.
cities. Look where the highways were drawn. Look where they went through. Look at the history in San Antonio. Look at the history of most major cities. Of where and when they built those highways and what it did to the businesses that they bypassed.
Yep.
So, it continues to go on. Now, I'm not saying that we dwell on that, but let's just be real about it. And let's find ways with the innovation and technology, to go around. And I know there's some people, I see stuff up there in Grand Rapids. I see folks like Chris Mathis, who I knew up there, that's doing things and shining a light on businesses that are growing. I stay connected with the communities. Every community that I live in, I stay connected to, and in some way or another, try to put resources back in those areas. So even though I'm all the way in Japan, I'm still concerned with what's going on. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. So that's how you have to move if you want to make progress.
Yeah.
And you also have to be educated and have some type of vision, right? That's not based on fear, greed, or phobia. It's got to be based on something better than that. It's got to be based on something bigger than that, right? So
Right.
that's how we move. That's how we move in a healthy way, and that's how we got to do what we got to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we
Yeah.
do. I love my San Antonio family. I love the fact that you got that Legends Award and the things that are going on, and the work that's being put on and by so many people, even during these times,
Yeah.
right? Work still has to be done. That's why I take time every week. Therapists, we pretty busy right now.
Yeah.
But but hey, listen, and you can check how much people charge for an hour of a therapist time, and you got me for an hour. Hey, let's get some questions. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's going on. I'm constantly training. I was training 6 hours today, on mental health issues and things of that nature. And it's no good with me just having the information if I can help somebody else with it. I'm not saying that everybody needs help, but somebody's going to need help at some point in their life. So maybe one of these tools you put in your back pocket and you use it when you need it.
You said one thing that really I want to talk about some more is
Mhm.
sometimes it could be the little thing that festers up that you don't want to do anything about it until it gets out of hand. But
Yeah.
there's people out there that say, well, it's just a little thing. I'll take care of it later. While they're saying they're going to take care of it later, it festers up to all of a sudden, boom, it explodes. And you have to know inside yourself, it's a little thing, but talk to somebody to make sure
Well,
it don't get out of hand.
I'm going to give you an example about little things, right? So just understand your mind is kind of like a warehouse. And if you keep putting little things here, little things there, just imagine your subconscious is like a warehouse. Sooner or later, all those little things add up. And they also take, they grow on their own, back to your subconscious, And after a while, those boxes come forward, and they come forward in behaviors. They come forward, that you don't want. They come forward in psychosis, meaning mental illness that you don't want. And a perfect example is just, that the man that just took his life, in Robert Card. Those boxes came forward, and when they came forward, he broke. So one of the things you have to really take time, and a lot of people don't know how to do and don't do, is you really have to take inventory of yourself. So those boxes you got back there, you need to know that when the warehouse is full, so
Yeah.
you don't have a breakdown, or when things are going. So if you start noticing things about your behavior, that you're irritable and you don't really know why, you start losing interest in things that you normally like doing. You find you start to become more introverted. when you're used to being an extrovert. Um, you gotta be aware of those things. So I highly recommend people kind of journal, write down things about their life. What's going on with you. You don't have to write a whole lot, but just take a little snapshots of what's going on. Hey, I had a good day today. This happened. I had a bad day. This is what happened. This is what I wish would happen. I wish I would have done something differently. And what happens is you start to manage your life and you start noticing patterns and you start noticing, hey, wait a minute, I'm doing this every so many weeks or every so many days or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And you're able to organize in your life, realizing what's going on. Your subconscious starts recognizing, wait a minute, every time I talk to Bobby, I have a bad day. So maybe I don't need to talk to Bobby so much because, there's some things to say about spiritually. Sometimes people, drop that spirit on you that of depression or anxiety. And there's a lot of psychological evidence that you don't have to be being argued with to receive the anxiety from that. You can just be around mess, and your heart rate and your emotional level it matches what you're around. So if you're around a lot of people that keep up a lot of mess, you're suffering just like they suffer. So be careful who you allow around you. If somebody's calling you, they always got some toxic thing they're dealing with, you're dealing with it right along with them. So, as a therapist, if I see somebody coming in about the third or fourth session, we've had this treatment plan, and you keep doing the same thing over and over again. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm not a good fit for you. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you're not really willing to make a change. So go ahead and sit in that for a little while longer till it stinks enough, till it hurts enough, and then we can move on, right?
Right.
When you're tired of it, then we can talk about the tools or whatever. But some people, and I don't have to, point at nobody. People like this. Some people like to complain and stay in their mess.
Alf is safe.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you're that type of person, it's no sense in calling my phone or calling other people or taking the call from somebody like that because they're going to return right back to their mess. In fact, sometimes you have to, I know it sounds a little different than what you said earlier, talk to somebody, but if you find yourself talking about the same thing over and over and over again, not want to make the changes, you need to figure out why that is. What's broken inside you? Maybe it's your self-esteem. Maybe it's you're not recognizing the type of people you're attracted to. There's something that's not right that you need to address so you don't have to keep going through that process. And I see it all the time with relationships. People that continue to miss the markers, and especially with women. Women have an instinct, and 90% of the time, when a woman ends up in a bad relationship, it's because they ignored that instinct. They ignore it. Oh, and they see the potential of a person. Now, let's be honest. A lot of guys, we can run game, you know what I'm saying? And we don't show who we really are, but there's always signs. And when you get those signs, those red flags, you have to process those,
Yeah.
because those red flags turn into something down the line. So
I was
that's my little bit for today
okay. I was
on relationships.
we talk about that. I worked with people time and time again, um, like 40 something years being a manager or supervisor, and I find out that some people do the same thing over and over again, and it can never get it right. And I remember one time somebody said, well, "What am I doing?" I said, "It's a you thing." They said, "What do you mean by that?" Everybody else having no issues, but you're the only one that having problems. No matter what we put you on, you having the same issue. So it's a you thing. He said, "What you mean it's a you thing?"
Mhm.
You, I said to just one guy, maybe this job is not right for you. You need to move on to something else. And I had to be real careful how I worded it, but a youth thing is very, if you look at any job, any field, there's always somebody, it's a youth thing. And they can't figure out why they can't figure, are they doing it on purpose because they don't want to do the work? Like, for instance, my son turned around one day. I had him cut the backyard. I watched him turn the lawnmower over and then put it back so the lawnmower won't start. I said, okay, that'll be all right. I said, well, we'll take care of it. He thought he got out of it. Well, about 3 o'clock in the
Mhm.
afternoon, it was a little warm outside. I cranked the lawnmower. I said, now time for you to go out there and cut the grass and don't turn that lawnmower over again. And
Mhm.
he cut the yard. Did he do it again? No. Because I looked at it, it was a you thing. You did not want to do it. So I just went a
Right. So
roundabout
you
way.
sabotage.
So I went a roundabout way. So I asked him later on, why did he do that? Well, my friend told me to get out cutting the yard. You do that. His dad came out and cut it. I said, well, did you tell him about your dad? He said, no. Did dad play that? No. I said, okay, quit listening to everybody. Just do it. Your chore you're supposed to do and quit. If you spend more time trying to get out of something, use that time to do something. You know, we use so much
Yeah.
time to get out of things. How many times you sit hear people that they sit there all day trying to get out of work when they should have went on and did it?
Listen, I remember I was talking to somebody that was struggling with some addiction issues, and they were doing about 20 jobs to get about $100, $150. And I was like, if you would have just got a job, cleaned yourself up, you would be making more money. You're working harder than right now than you would if you were, in a job. And when I said that to them, because they were the type of person that they would always try to get out of something. They would always try to get out of work. They'd always try to, get out of being responsible. And they thought they were going to find a hookup. They always try to,
Yeah,
find that fast, come up. And they ended up, messing around with some stuff they shouldn't have, and that kind of put them on a different path. But when I looked at how hard they were working these little odd jobs and trying to rip people off and all that, I said, my God, if you would have just put all that energy that you are into surviving into actually getting an education and thriving before you got into that mess, you know you'd be a CEO.
yeah,
You working 90 hours a week trying to make it, and you could have been doing that at 40 hours a week or less or whatever. But unfortunately, people have to find out the hard way. There is no easy way out. And what I found out is when I started succeeding at different things and started succeeding at what I was working at, what I found is that no matter what you're successful in, you're going to have some of the same practices: organization, time management, focus, reflection, training, retraining, passion, toward what you're trying to do, and being passionate about it. Those are the things that make people, successful. And I don't care what it is. So once you apply those things, it starts to work out. Now you also have to remove barriers and set up boundaries. I'm
yeah,
reading a book right now, actually about completed a book on boundaries for leaders. It was recommended for me to lead, and pretty much if you're running a successful business, practice, whatever, there's certain things that every successful business owner, every successful manager, trainer, whatever does, that if you want to be successful, you're gonna have to do those things. If you're gonna fail at life or fail at things, there are certain things you're going to do with that. And it's the opposite of those things that successful people do. Don't be organized. Do a job that you're not passionate about. Do something that don't put the work in. Don't invest in yourself. Don't invest in your education. Those are the things that are going to, cause you to fail. And when you got to take some time again. I'm going to go back to this. Know yourself.
yeah.
We all are given gifts. We're all like given, like listen, I call you the Black MacGyver for a reason. You know what I'm saying? You've got a natural talent to look at something and know how to fix it with a screwdriver and a rubber band. You probably can fix, I've seen you do it. You know what I'm saying? So I know, with me, it was, people are always coming to me with their problems. And I was thinking I wanted to go to law school. Come to find out, I don't want to deal with all that paperwork. I like working with people. I like helping solve problems. So once I figured that out, and my wife was like, you should look into that. And I was like, okay, let me look into it. And I found out that I could get 2 licenses, and I could, have my own private practice and set my own vision to what I want to do. And then bam, there you have it right behind me, impact counseling. It was a concept. Now it's paying the bills. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to find that, thing that is going to help you to succeed and to elevate and grow. And once you find that, things fall in line. And the first thing, and I hate to, I have to say it. There's a scripture that says, first seek the kingdom, and all other things will be added unto you. So I was having some conversations with God. Hey, show me this thing that I'm supposed to be doing. And I was like, wait a minute, I brought you through all this stuff so that you could help other people. And I was like, wow, that makes sense. So when I was going through my master's programs, of course I was getting all A's. Why? Because I already was doing a lot of those things. I just didn't know the name of it. I didn't know
Yeah.
the school of thought that was. And then it just happened. So really, there's a lot of wisdom, as you would imagine, to first seeking the kingdom and all the things being added unto you, because it's already in you. God has already invested those things in you, but you have to do the work of cultivating it. That's just like gardening. We had a garden outside my grandparents' house. I learned a lot from that. If you don't go out and plant those seeds, do that work, till the soil, pull the weeds, you're not going to get a decent crop. And you got to watch out for predators. You got to watch out for people coming, people and animals coming in and taking stuff out.
Yeah.
Same as your life. You got to find out what it is you're supposed to do, drop those seeds, cultivate it, get that education, remove the distractions, remove the toxic people from your life, and go and get what God has for you to do in this life. And then it works out. So, people spend too much time and energy on things that are not going to grow. Some people are living in an area, and I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm going to say it. Some people are living in an area that thing that you are trying to do is never going to grow. Why? Because you're on bad soil.
There you go. There you
You're
go.
on bad soil. Find a place that you can grow and prosper and let God lead you to it, then go. If you've been working at something for 20 years and it ain't working, it might not be you, it might not be the vision. You're just in the wrong place.
Yeah. Craig just jumped in and said Matthew 6:33.
I
What you
knew
were
Matt.
talking
Yeah,
about.
I knew my brother. Hey, that's why you got to have a good team, man.
Yeah.
Hey, he pulled the scripture out, for you. So
Yeah.
that's it, man. And you got to have something. Listen, um, I would be remiss to tell anybody that for me, it was my faith. It was Christianity. It was my wife. It was having someone, and then it was my daughter. I got a picture. I should share my screen. When I saw my daughter and I fell in love with my daughter, let me tell you, and the moment I fell in love with my daughter is when I found out I was having one. But when she got here, when I
Yeah.
saw her, I said, "Oh yeah, this I got to do whatever I got to do." And you've been around my daughter, my daddy's girl. She's a superstar, right?
Yeah.
But and every dad feels that way. But hey, my baby is. You know what I'm saying? Like
Well,
she's
I,
doing
I
great
I
things.
tell you what, uh, she can hold a conversation better than some adults.
Yeah, and say some stuff to make you go, man, I got to look that
Hmm.
up. You know what I'm saying? Science. Anyway, so my point is, you got to put yourself in a position where you're not the focus. Your passion, your vision, your family, that is, you got to live for something more than just you. And for me, Christianity, my faith helped me to find that, and it still continues to help me find that and give me peace and direction. And for these times, yeah, I can tell you about the psychological aspects, but you really need to find that faith to fall on and to get that strength from. For me, it's Christianity. If you don't know God, I suggest you get to know Him, because that's where you're going to get. That's where impact came from through me, is because of the vision and the things that God brought me through. So that's all I can say on that. But we can talk about the other things. I know all the other things in terms of therapy that I can talk about with folks. Happy to do that. So if you got any questions, I'd love to lay those out. I don't know if anybody wrote anything in this week, but we always get something, one or two questions
Yeah,
or whatever.
we did. Let me go to
You
that
know.
one. We did get one question about mental health. We already, well, it was addressed already because somebody wrote in
Okay.
again saying, "What is mental health?"
Uh,
You brought that up last time round. Um, you brought up like it could be, which I was blown away when you said it. It could be passed on from one generation to another. It's in the DNA, or you explain it some type of way, and I did not know that. I
mhm.
thought mental health is just something you develop once you get here in life. You develop things like that, but the way you put it, like I'll let you go ahead and put it together, so I don't put my foot in my mouth, because you said something about mental
Are
health,
you good?
like it's
Good.
hereditary.
Yeah, well, you just nailed it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of research, and when we do assessments, we ask if somebody in your family had mental illness. There are genetic traits to mental illness. So if one of your parents had problems with depression, or anxiety, or if schizophrenia runs in your family, it is an indicator that, you are possibly more susceptible to that. So, there is a genetic trait to it. Now, there are also environmental ways that mental health can be affected. And that's, if you're growing up in an area that's got a lot of violence, that doesn't have the support, the resources, that can foster some mental and PTSD. I did this thing called hitting PTSD. So I was noticing I was working in the schools, a lot of kids were coming there and they were going through something. And it wasn't just behavior. They were noticing some things. There were traumatic things going on in the home, traumatic things going on in the community, and it was affecting them. Affecting some of them, right? And that has to be addressed, right? So there's environmental factors. There's also substances, right? Every one of the diagnostic codes in the DSM, the diagnostic manual for doing um, diagnosis, they all have a drug or alcohol qualifier. So if you're unfortunately messing around with too much alcohol or drugs, not you can induce mental illness as well. So it's a lot of different things. But your mental health is your ability to function, think rationally, and move day to day and accomplish your ADLs, activities of daily living, in a healthy way. Being able to monitor your emotions and your behavior. And I just did that off the top of my head. I'm not looking at anything,
Yeah.
but those are the factors. When you're looking at mental health, is how you can deal with stressors, how you process stress. Some people, they get cut off and they're ready to go grab a gun. Some people, you get cut off, you can back up and go, you know what? I'm not allowing this person to dictate my behavior. You know,
Yeah.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that. So I'm not gonna grab a gun because all my guns are in the United States. But
Okay.
it's something that we got to get to. And also, do you know that you can be arrested just for road rage here in the in Japan?
Really?
Yeah, if you flip somebody off, you can be arrested for that on the road.
Wow. There'd be a lot of people
Yeah.
arrested in the United States.
Yeah, a lot of people arrested. So you got to get your listen. You got to have your act together when you come here. So it's a lot of people that find themselves in some hot water real quick because there's a lot of one thing I noticed about this area over here, and we talked about it a little bit for a minute. There's a reason why on the Netflix show, I hope it's still out there, where it talks about the blue zones and people living over 100. Okinawa, Japan, where I'm at right now, has more people in the world living over 100 than any other place. And when you're here, you'll see some things that you don't see other places. It's uncommon. It's not uncommon to see somebody 90 years old or older walking to the store on their own. It's not uncommon to see somebody just like toddler age or a little above toddler age go into the store, going places on their own, right? It's a mindset, it's a culture here that they get it. They're a part of a community and they look out for each other. And that's where we got to get back to. where
Yes.
we look out for each other, where we understand we're connected. And, it's really a utopic situation, but you know what? Why not in the United States? Why not everywhere else? Because we are choosing to allow ourselves to become more individualized and not, more communal. And there's really no excuse in the African American art community to be like that. There's no excuse because if we go back just a couple generations, just go back a couple generations, we were dependent on each other.
Right.
If the neighbor had a bushel of things coming in from the garden. Everybody in the neighborhood had greens that week. You know what I mean?
That's
We
right.
all cared for each other. We all, looked out for each other. We all celebrated each other's accomplishments. But now you may not know your neighbor 2 houses down,
Oh,
and
next
that's
door.
part of the
Yeah.
or next door. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's part of the problem. And I was guilty. I had to get out and know my neighbors, and find out things. But then, just be honest, some neighbors may not want to know you. But it's
Yeah.
funny. I call it the 9/11 syndrome. When 9/11 happened, a lot of people were talking to me that normally weren't talking to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So don't let that be a crisis before you have to know your neighbor.
Right.
Saying know who they are ahead of time. Know who your people are because you just never know who you're gonna need, especially in this day and age. But so you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But hey,
Before you get up and get out of that one question, you hit the nail right on the head. Cindy from Tennessee, she said her mom is an alcoholic. She's constantly taking care of her. She drinks till she falls out, and she's doing everything. What the heck? And she was saying that she's at her wits end and trying to get her to go somewhere to get help. But when she's sober, she is sharp as a tack. But when she start drinking, and she said it's a burden on her for doing what she's doing. But she did reply back saying that her auntie came in and they're trying to help the mom out to get going. And she just want to know her mental state dealing with an alcoholic. And she's afraid that, how she put it, let me put it right here, get into a relationship she wants to, but getting into one with somebody that drinks, even socially, she don't want to deal with nobody that drinks.
well, I can tell you, she may want to reach out to a group. I think it's called Al-Anon.
Mm-hmm.
It helps people that have family members with substance abuse issues and just how to deal with and how to process that. So I would have her to, take a look at that. And just understanding that, she's going to probably have to go through some counseling herself to,
Yeah.
seeing a loved one go through and deal with addiction is a very traumatic thing. And it can skew your view on reality. Just because someone drinks socially does not mean that they're going to be an alcoholic, but it does mean that you're more aware of it, and you're going to be more guarded against that. But you don't want to let your phobias and fears guide your life, right?
Yeah.
But you also, she probably has some healing. She's probably seen some things and dealing with some things. So Al-Anon is a group that she can look up. It's a national organization and it helps people deal with family members that have drug and alcohol addiction. And just understand you can only do so much. You cannot you can be supportive, but you cannot make a person get better when it comes to addiction. That's a journey they have to take on their own, and you can support them. But I highly recommend that you have to set up some boundaries for yourself and what you will tolerate and what you won't. And unfortunately, there's a lot of functional alcoholics, people that can work all day and then they go get wasted at night. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's going to have an effect on their bodies. It's going to have an effect on their mind. There's a lot of links with Alzheimer's and other dementias, the people that drink a lot, along with all the other issues. So, but yeah, to that person, there's a lot of hope out there. There's a lot of help out there. Reach out to Al-Anon. You can reach out to the Impact Team and for some life coaching hoping you to get some boundaries set up and we can connect you with one of the life coaches. Or, look out there. There's a lot of help out there. But
Yeah.
don't suffer in silence. Don't think you have to carry all the weight yourself and
Right.
you're responsible for another adult. They have to carry some of that burden or it's going to drive you crazy.
Yeah.
So,
You said something. We said that too back in the days. A function alcoholic.
functional
That
alcoholic, yeah.
that is a true statement. 'Cause we could watch people Monday through Friday working, but when Friday 5 o'clock hit around, they got that, and you see them Saturday, they're a completely different person they were to
Oh,
me
yeah.
Monday through Friday. But yet, they had the sense enough to sober up for Monday to go to work.
Well, but if you keep watching, if that alcoholic issue comes along, there'll be some breaks because
Yeah.
DUIs don't care what day it is.
Oh no, it don't.
You know what I'm saying? So I'll just leave it at that. So with that being said, man, I got to get ready to get out of here, get
All
to this
righty.
airport. Shout out to everybody that's listening. Much love from Okinawa, Japan. Keep sending those questions in. I'll get your answer. I'm not going to charge you for the questions on here, but holler at me after here. I got to bill you. No, I'm just playing. Let me stop. I'm just playing so serious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. All right.
All right.
Your statement you forgot.
Hey, well, I was gonna let you do it, but okay. You actually speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying. So let's make sure you're saying the right things, but more importantly, that you're doing the right things. So we got to get on this, man. I want to say, if you are in the United States, write your senator, congressman, tell them to get off their butt and do something about these gun control legislation. Because don't put it on mental health. I'm a therapist. I'm gonna tell you right now, we do our job. Now it's time for you to do yours. That's
Amen
it.
to that. All right, brother. We'll talk to you
All
later.
right.
All right. Peace. All right, that was Mr. Joseph Lee here on WSAN Radio. Yes, it was nice to hear him over in Okinawa, Japan, doing this thing over there. It's Ron G on WSAN Radio doing the morning show here. We have Joseph on every. There we go. It didn't want to
Recording
end.
stop.
We have Joseph on every Wednesday at 7:30. Shout out to Craig Washington, Vershero, Mary, Veronica, Justice. Who else is on here? Billy, William, Carol. Boy, got a cast of thousands on this morning. New people on. I appreciate y'all tuning in to WSN Radio. Like we're live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So just tune in every day. We have somebody on. Here's my quote right now. What Joseph was talking about. Um, Even the impossible is possible for God. May your mountains be moved and your faith be renewed today. So that's what we have right there. And I tell you what, it's definitely moving and shaking out there. If you let him into your life, you'd be surprised the things you can accomplish. All right, DJ Ron G on WSAN Radio is 41 degrees, 25 minutes after the hour here on WSAN Radio. And we are having such a lovely time and a lovely day. We picked up some listeners on YouTube too. Thank you. Thank you, YouTube listeners. We appreciate that. Also, we're on Twitch and we're on